It was a rainy Thursday afternoon when the call came that shattered my world. I remember every single detail like it's etched into my memory forever. The cup of cold coffee I hadn't touched all morning, the sound of Ava's cartoons playing in the living room, and Jackson racing up and down the hallway, pretending to be a superhero in socks. I picked up my phone without looking at the number. I didn't expect anything bad. We never do. "Is this Mrs. Natalie Carter?" the voice asked. "Yes," I replied, a little distracted, still watching Jackson jump off the couch. "I'm very sorry, ma'am. Your husband, Mr. Michael Carter, was involved in a car accident this morning. He didn't survive." My entire body went numb. It was like the floor disappeared from under me. I dropped to my knees and clutched the phone like it could somehow rewind time. Jackson stood still, watching me with wide eyes. I couldn't breathe. My voice was caught in my throat. My entire soul collapsed in on itself. My husband. My Michael. Gone. The police officer continued speaking, explaining details I didn't register. All I could hear was a high-pitched ringing in my ears and my own heart pounding in my chest. I hung up. I don't even remember saying goodbye. Jackson ran over and hugged me tightly. "What's wrong, Mommy?" he asked. I couldn't say it out loud. I just held him as tightly as I could, like he might vanish too. Later that night, I sat both kids down and tried to explain. Ava, only 5, didn't understand. She kept asking if Daddy was coming home tomorrow. Jackson, at 9, understood too much. He stayed silent, then walked into his room and slammed the door. I heard him crying through the walls. Michael had been the rock of our family. He was the one who held everything together. His laugh, his steady presence, the way he made us all feel safe. We had been married for 12 years. We met in college. He was studying engineering, I was studying to be a teacher. I used to joke that he fixed problems and I helped people avoid them. Our love story wasn't dramatic. It was simple, steady, and full of respect. That morning, Michael kissed me goodbye like always. He had a meeting in the city and was running a little late. He grabbed his travel mug, winked at Ava who was still in pajamas, and said, "I'll be home for dinner. Save me a piece of cake." I never imagined that would be the last time I'd see him alive. The days that followed were a blur. People came by with food, flowers, and awkward words of comfort. I nodded, smiled, and said thank you, even when all I wanted was to scream. My mother flew in from Florida to stay with us. She helped cook, clean, and hold the kids when I couldn't pull myself together. The funeral was small and beautiful. Michael's co-workers spoke about what a generous man he was. His sister shared stories from their childhood. I stood there holding Ava in one hand and Jackson in the other as they lowered the casket into the ground. I didn't cry then. Not in front of everyone. I waited until later that night, alone in bed, when the weight of his absence finally collapsed on top of me. I barely slept for weeks. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined the crash. I pictured the car spinning, Michael struggling, his last moments. I became obsessed with the details. I called the police station multiple times, trying to get a clearer picture. But it never brought comfort. Only pain. He was hit by a delivery truck that slid in the rain and crossed into his lane. It wasn't his fault. He didn't stand a chance. Jackson started having nightmares. He'd wake up screaming for his dad and come crawling into my bed. Ava regressed. She began wetting the bed and became clingy. I tried my best to stay strong for them, but there were moments I'd lock myself in the bathroom just to cry without being seen. Our financial situation got tight quickly. Michael had life insurance, but the claim was stuck in processing for months. I used up all our savings just to keep the bills paid and food on the table. I had to take a part-time job at the local library, shelving books and helping with story time. It was humbling. Some days, I'd come home with aching feet and still have to help with homework, cook dinner, and get the kids bathed. There was no time to grieve properly. Eventually, our family doctor referred us to a grief counselor. At first, I didn't want to go. I thought I could manage. But after Jackson got into a fight at school and Ava had a full-blown panic attack at preschool, I realized we needed help. Melissa, our counselor, was calm and understanding. She let the kids draw and talk about their feelings. She helped Jackson express his anger and taught Ava how to ask questions about death without fear. With me, she was patient. She encouraged me to talk about Michael, about who he was, how we met, what kind of father he was. Those sessions were painful but healing. We began to build a new normal. Every Friday night, we'd have a memory dinner where we made Michael's favorite meal, chili and cornbread, and shared one funny memory about him. It became a tradition that helped us keep his spirit close. Jackson started writing in a journal Melissa gave him. Ava began drawing family portraits again, with her daddy in the clouds. One afternoon, while cleaning out Michael's side of the closet, I found a box I'd never seen before. Inside were old photos, letters we wrote during college, and a notebook. In the back of the notebook was a letter addressed to me. He must have written it just weeks before the accident. It wasn't dramatic, just Michael being Michael. He wrote about how much he loved our little family, how proud he was of the kids, and how he felt like the luckiest man alive. The last line read, "If anything ever happens to me, know this, you're stronger than you think, Nat. And our kids have your heart." I clutched that letter to my chest and sobbed. It felt like he was there, giving me permission to move forward, to live, not just exist. I started to shift. I applied for night classes in bookkeeping, hoping to eventually qualify for a full-time job with better pay. I found support in other widows online, women who had experienced similar losses. We exchanged messages, stories, survival tips. I realized I wasn't alone. Jackson started playing soccer again. At first, I worried it was too soon, but it turned out to be exactly what he needed. He made friends, burned off energy, and slowly found his smile again. Ava joined a music class and began learning the piano. The sound of her small fingers hitting the keys brought life back into our home. There were setbacks, of course. The first holidays without Michael were brutal. On Thanksgiving, I cried in the pantry so the kids wouldn't see me. On Christmas, I bought presents from both Mommy and Daddy, and left a note from Michael under the tree. On his birthday, we released balloons with messages written on them. A year after Michael's death, we visited the lake where we used to vacation. It was a bittersweet trip. We stayed in the same cabin. I made pancakes like he used to. We took a boat ride, and Jackson fished off the edge of the dock. At sunset, Ava looked up at the sky and said, "I think Daddy likes the view." I smiled through tears and whispered, "I think so too." Over time, our pain changed shape. It didn't go away, but it became something we carried instead of something that crushed us. We learned how to laugh again, how to celebrate milestones without guilt. I still talk to Michael sometimes, usually at night when the house was quiet.